Hello, dear audience. Once again, welcome back to another episode of Hodl My Coffee, जहां पर हम हर हफ्ते बात करते हैं एक ना एक इंटरेस्टिंग टॉपिक के बारे में. पिछले हफ्ते हमने काफी इंसाइटफुल सेशन किया था ऑन क्रिप्टो मार्केट एनालिसिस विद मिस्टर राजू, जो कि काफी इंटरेस्टिंग रहा एंड सीमिंगली आप लोग को काफी पसंद आया. आज उसी तरीके का हम एक और एपिसोड करने वाले हैं जहां पर हम बात करने वाले हैं द ह्यूमन साइड ऑफ क्रिप्टो. Fear, greed, FOMO and the people who rose above it. जब हम fear, greed और FOMO की बात करते हैं, that comes with the very nature of crypto itself, क्योंकि हम सबको पता है कि किस तरीके से मार्केट इतनी ज़्यादा volatile है and you know बहुत सारा टाइम आता है जब हमारा फियर ग्रीड ये सारी चीजें इट जस्ट टेक्स ओवर आवर मेंटल कैपेसिटी टू थिंक अबाउट थिंग्स क्लियरली एंड वी लूज आउट ऑन मेजर अपॉर्चुनिटीज बिकॉज ऑफ दैट. तो आज इस डिस्कशन के लिए हमें जो ज्वाइन करने वाले हैं, दिस is someone who has been in this industry for a very 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 long time and has survived through major ups and downs, pulls and pushes during the markets, and he still stayed where he is, and he's been very rigid on his stance with the cryptocurrency industry. Also led one of the most interesting and big platforms of the Indian cryptocurrency ecosystem, Mr. Rahul Pagdipati, the chairman of board at Zeppe. Hi Rahul, how are you doing today?
Good, doing great. It's great to be here. Sorry I'm a little late.
Oh, that's absolutely fine. It's always, good things make us wait, so that's fine. So Rahul, would you be comfortable speaking in Hindi as well?
No, I wish so. I know a little Telugu, but my Hindi is very very poor. I know I know maybe like 100 words. That's it.
Okay, that's not at all a problem. And
Yeah.
guys, अगर आपके कोई सवाल हिंदी में है, प्लीज आप हिचकिचाइएगा मत, आप बिल्कुल पूछे. I'll translate it for you.
I love
And
it. I love it. You can translate, and I'll pick up a few words here and there, but like that'd be
yeah.
wonderful.
So we'll be able to answer all of your questions. We are going to be talking about something like I just mentioned, the human side of crypto. And Rahul, you being in this industry for so long, first of all, this is such a privilege for me to host you today because I have heard so many stories about you. I've always wanted to kind of do this, and now that I'm getting the opportunity, I want to start with knowing your story in the cryptocurrency space. It's very unique. It's a place of rare intellect. So how did you start here?
Oh, great! Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I would say it's been a long road. I'll keep it kind of short. The simple answer is I've been an economics major in college, and I'm a lawyer and an MBA by training. And so when I found out about, let's say, digital currencies, it was just an interesting idea of how what is money and how does it exist. And then I first really found about Bitcoin in 2011, which is now 13 years ago. And when I first saw it, I thought this is either the most amazing thing in the world or the craziest idea in the world. Like many people, like basically it's nothing in between. It's either the best idea or the worst idea, and I wasn't convinced either way. And so I thought, well, maybe it's not the best idea. But over the next couple of years, it kept coming back to me, and then I by 2013 I was convinced it really was probably one of the biggest ideas ever made. And then from that point on, just every single like action, I've gotten deeper and deeper into the space. So it was kind of like a very lucky for me, my background within law and economics and kind of technology. I was able to see that crypto is really a intermix of these interdisciplinary studies.
Yeah, I mean, that is so true. And with Bitcoin, especially, when it came into the picture, a lot of people were very skeptical of it. And, now we see so many people thinking that, oh, I wish I would have bought this back then, or I would have studied about
Yeah.
it back then. I'm actually one of those people, even though like I was way younger back then to learn anything about it, I still regret that, if I would have had
When
it.
was it? When was the first time you found out about it? Do you remember when the first?
So yeah, that was 2017. I
Yeah.
remember a friend of my father's was into the space, and he was talking about this. My father completely discarded this idea, and that's when I was, my prima facie interaction with Bitcoin. And
Yeah.
later, as the destiny would want it, I landed in the space full fledgedly and constantly learning now about it.
I love it.
So
No, no. So I think the reason I bring that up is, I think a lot of people are influenced by their friends and family. So when they see a new idea, let's talk about any new ideas, whether it's like an airplane, the internet, some sort of new technology. Your friends will and family kind of influence whether you think it's going to be adopted or not. And so, my lesson in life is, uh, try to hang out with people who are forward thinking, right? And if you think of people who are open to innovation, I think your mind is, you'll be able to see clear, right? And so what I've done this in my own life is, it because, for example, I told you I found about Bitcoin, and I was basically a Bitcoin maximalist for many years, right? Because I thought, oh, Bitcoin's a coin, nothing else would beat it. But then, luckily, when I found about Ether, when I first found about Ether, I'm like, this is never going to work. But then, same thing, I realized that it was also potentially different and groundbreaking. And let's just say Bitcoin and Ether are the two big ones now. Is it something else might come, like whether it's Solana? It doesn't mean that Bitcoin and Ether lose. It just means that don't close your eyes to the fact that innovation is always happening, and really that the way technology can come in, it can change anything. So just because you're number one now doesn't mean you'll be number one in the future. And the market, the only constant is change itself, right? The only thing you can guarantee is that change will happen. Yeah.
exactly. That is so true because our market is so diverse. This industry itself, it's the open market that's bigger than any innovation, and it's constantly evolving. And it's so beautiful to witness all of this. So Rahul, you have been here for so long, right? And there have been multiple cycles that you have survived. I'm sure even when the Indian government introduced a little blanket ban with the banking people not being allowed to interact with the cryptocurrency exchange, there were a lot of issues. Now amid all of these things, I'm sure there must have been a lot of FOMO that must have hit you, the team, and you must have felt like what's going to happen now. How did you survive all throughout, and you're still here in this space? What was the constant feeling?
Yeah. So I think it's a really good question, and what I kind of learned is, when I so I used to I'm an investor. When I really consider myself as my core, like, identity. Like, some people are like marketing people, some people are sales, some people are technology, some people are lawyers. Even though I'm a lawyer, I really consider myself to be an investor. And an investor is very different from, so a lot of people, they kind of clump it all together. They can clump savings with investing, with speculating, with trading, with gambling, right? And each of those things, you can make and lose money. You can make and lose money if you save, invest, trade, gamble, speculate. But in many ways, the time frame is different, right? And so what you're looking at is, for me, I love investing, not just because the time frame is long. I like the idea of spending time doing research, finding out what I think is going to be happen over the longer term, and then really it's making a bet, but it's different. And so back on like what I realized was that when I got into the space as an investor, there's stocks, there's options, and there's crypto. When I learned about crypto, I realized, man, crypto is very volatile. It's extremely volatile, which is a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing is that you can make a lot of money trading, right? You can buy Bitcoin at 50,000, sell at 52, sell at 48, all in one day, right? While a stock usually is not that volatile, right? It doesn't go up and down 10% a day. And then an altcoin can go up and down 20% a day, right? Or 30% a day. So when I realized that, like it's kind of like imagine playing a game, like the investing game, and then falling in love with crypto, but then realizing that my skill set and even my own mentality doesn't really fit to what I'm doing. It's kind of like it's to say you're playing a sport and you have to be tall. Like I just realized I was average height. Like I didn't have any special skills on dealing with the volatility. So what I did was, the simple answer is that if you don't have the natural ability for it, is you just have to kind of build up a habits which can help counteract, the kind of what's happening in the game. And so what I started doing was, because crypto was so volatile, and it was really kind of affecting even my mood. I decided that, you know what, I'm not gonna, as a long-term investor, I'm making the decision that I want to kind of invest for the long term and not worry about, even though it's kind of fun making money on the day-to-day movements. And I did that. I used to do it a long time ago. I'm doing much less that now. I don't really trade. Is I realized I started buying every single day. So this idea of rupee cost averaging, or dollar cost averaging. And about 5 years ago, more than 5 years ago, in 2019, I started buying 1 Ether a day. And that was probably the biggest change in my outlook on the industry. And back then, when I started buying 1 Ether a day, Ether was only $100, right? No, it's almost $3,000, right? And so even though we went from $100 up to it fell down to 75, so it even fell when I was buying it, right? And it went up to like 5,000. So look at the range between $75 to 5,000. Now it's at 3,000. And so my point on this is that, the only way you kind of have to fit your habits and your actions to what your own personal philosophy is. So if you're a saver, then maybe you change what you're doing there. If you like to speculate, you like to trade, then make sure you're using correct risk management tools. Like hey, this is my long-term bucket. This is my trading bucket, right? So, but in summary, the point there is that, if you don't have mental peace, you're not going to be able to do well. So each person has to figure out individually, like, hey, what makes them, what grounds them. And so for me, this habit of buying every single day has been phenomenal. It's really, it grounds me when the price goes down. Like when the price is falling, I just I take a deep breath, like, well, whatever, it's fine. It fell, and I buy some. And it also grounds me when the price goes up, even though I want to feel really good that I'm right. I'm like, oh, whatever. It just is going up, but like it might come down tomorrow, so it's not a big deal. So just don't worry about it.
I so agree to this, and this is something that even I have been doing for the past 1 year now. And there's this just thing: just invest daily, some little amount that you don't have to use in your day. Just save that amount, keep it aside, invest it, and just let it be. Interestingly, when this entire ETF thing was happening, and there was a major FOMO thing in the market, and people were expecting it to get rejected, get approved for multiple reasons, logical, illogical. At that time, the FOMO was crazy. Surprisingly, even though relatively this is like my second bull cycle that I'm witnessing right now, I wasn't much bothered at all, because I was like, okay, anyways, I'm investing every day, so I don't really have to bother about it. So
That's great.
that
So do you also kind of, you try to rupee cost average like almost every
yes,
day?
yes, yes.
Oh, that's great.
I
I
invest
think
in
only 5 or 10% of the population in the crypto world does this, but I believe that it's a secret power, meaning that if you get more of the community to start doing this stuff, it'll really change the game dramatically.
true. 100%. So we have a couple of comments over here. Let's see
Yeah.
what are they saying. Cool Videos is saying best future exchange in India. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Cool Videos. We are very glad to know that you're loving our platform, and just, keep using it, keep giving us your feedback, and let us know, how can we improve our services better for you. Uh,
Yeah, Pi 42. I'm really proud of Avinash and Nishal and the whole Pi 42 team. They are amazing, and I just want to talk about the Indian ecosystem. What I love about the ecosystem at large is that even through all the ups and downs, the regulatory, hurdles, whether it's the Reserve Bank of India coming in and then the Supreme Court overturning it, right, and new taxes, is that there's so much innovation and smart people in India that it's really amazing to see that India is such an amazing country, right? I'm Indian American. I was born in America, but I spent a lot of time in India. I lived in India for about 4 years in my 20s, and I really do think over the next 10, 20, 30 years, the Indian economy is going to grow so much, and it's amazing that even though India has all this growth happening, we have all this amazing blockchain and crypto and Web3 technology, and together, especially with AI and all those other things, like I think I'm really, really, let's say, excited about what's happening. And then on the crypto side, with what all of the exchanges, but especially what Nishal and Avinash are doing here at Pi42, Futures is such an awesome product. And what
yes.
it does is it lowers let's say costs. And so, but my suggestion is and as an investor is that you gotta make sure that you look at your let's say risk, not just risk tolerance, but make sure you don't you have to weight your portfolio properly. So like don't put all your eggs in one basket is my point. So even if you're right, it can be very tempting to do that, but the question is don't. The answer is don't.
That's indeed so true. And about the point, I feel like when for the first time, I got to know about 542, my first instinct was because, I keep going to these Web3 events where people are trying to solve certain problems. The one thought that keeps coming to my head is these problems are so futuristic, right now, do we even have a use case for it? But when I heard about Pi 42, that solves the problem of the current day and time in India. And, that is something that the country needs, the traders of our
Yeah.
country needs. And I'm actually very glad to see such an amazing response from the people who have, started trading on Pi 42. And it's so genuine. The responses are good. People are enjoying the platform. At the same time, they're very happy to also learn about futures, because futures is something that was very prominent in the traditional stock market, but again in crypto it was not as much utilized on an Indian exchange. It was some foreign exchanges providing the service. So I'm sure, our audience is loving it today. Now coming to the trading part, as you mentioned, Rahul, interestingly with trading as well, there's so much of FOMO. And when we talk about futures trading, there are two-way profit making strategies here. One is the long position, the other is the short position. Of course, when the things start going in the opposite direction of what we have expected, we people a lot of times will execute their positions out of sheer FOMO and all of these things. So what are some of, because future is relatively very new and people are still learning about it, what are some of the things that you would suggest a beginner to do in such a situation?
So yeah. So what? Let me tell you how I look at let's say just going long and short and futures and how I think about it. So let's talk about in my opinion, the biggest value add of futures. The biggest one obviously is taxes, right? So with the new virtual digital asset law, there's very hefty taxes on buying and selling crypto, right? And I'm not really worried about the taxes. And as an entrepreneur, as an investor, taxes is important because that's what pays for society. It pays for roads and airports and all all of the things that police and firemen and things like that, schools. What I think a lot of people in the crypto industry agree with is that we just don't want to be taxed unfairly, and
Yeah.
by that meaning, if you go look at cryptos, it's almost being taxed as a gambling, right? Which is not a good thing. Like you can't offset losses, things like that. And so what futures does, the great thing is that if you make a gain trading Ethereum, you can offset the loss on your Bitcoin. If you make a gain buying an NFT, you can off if you have a futures product, you can offset the gain with another crypto asset. And so and people do this all the time with other futures product, whether it's commodities or stocks and things like that, and options. And so what the biggest reason why it works is most people don't just trade one thing. They don't only trade Bitcoin. They trade Bitcoin and Ethereum and Solana and Matic and XRP. And so and oftentimes your gains from one, you might have a really big winner from one, which offsets losses. So like usually what most traders will do is they'll lose $100, lose $100, lose $100, but then they'll make $1,000 on a really big long bet, right? And now if you're doing this with futures, you lost 300, but you made 1,000, so you made $700. The taxes, the old tax law would be these $300 don't offset the $1,000. It's a really bad format. So what I would say is for people the who want to make investments like that, where you're kind of, it's almost like a portfolio investment, futures is just phenomenal. And now going back on this of, let's say, going long and short, I think it's a great way to hedge as well. So imagine that you've bought Bitcoin like we have, like, I've been buying Ether slowly over the long run, and now I have, let's say, 10 Ether in times $3,000. I bought Ether small amounts over the past couple of years, and now it's worth $30,000. And then all of a sudden, for some reason, the Ethereum ETF is approved, and Ethereum goes from 3,000 to 4,000, which is awesome. But then I say, you know what? That was a really big move. I just want to kind of capture my gain. The better way to do it than doing it with your spot is you put a hedge in place with some sort of capital, and you short, some Ether on the futures, and then when it drops back down to 3,500, you can then buy it back. And the cool thing about that is it's a great way of locking in profits and just waiting for a correction to happen and to buy back. And that's what my recommendation is. There are always times, if you've been paying attention to the market, where you can kind of time things a little bit. But of course, nothing's perfect if you've given stuff up. But I think it's a great way of hedging some of your long position. But here's my big warning. I would never really short crypto. And what I mean by that, shorting is very dangerous because you could really get wiped. And here's the reason why. Let's say you have 1 crore rupees, right? $120,000 roughly. And you thought, you know what? I'm going to take that capital and I'm going to short Bitcoin. And to me, shorting Bitcoin, you can do it for a little bit, but it's very dangerous because Bitcoin can very easily go from $50,000 to $100,000 within a couple of days. And it sounds crazy to most people, but I don't think so. I think that people are forgetting that it's a very volatile asset. And if that happens, it's very hard to get out. And I actually think these really big move ups happen because of a short covering, meaning that there's really a short attack. And what I'd recommend for people to do is, if you're going to short crypto, make sure you're doing it on small amounts of capital, because a lot of liquidations don't just happen on the long side, they happen on the short side. And so you got to be very, very careful on risk sizing. Now, the flip side is, let's just say you're long. To me, it's a lot easier to go from, let's say, $10 to $100, which is 10x your money, than $10 to $2, because when something goes up really fast, it can run really fast. Meaning, to me, your longs have unlimited upside potential, but your shorts have unlimited. Like you can get knocked down very easily. So, but of course, this is my own personality. I have a long bias, meaning that I like being long crypto versus short. So, in summary, the point there is just be very careful if you short, because you don't want to be on the wrong side of the trade.
That's so true. That's so true. And I think most of the liquidations, like you mentioned, happens on the short side of the things, because even with the current market conditions, right, it's all moving, slightly down, more up,
Yeah.
then again, slightly down, more up. So amid this market, unless and until like somebody's super skilled to just notice and, kind of place positions like that, long is the best bet that you have at this point. And
Yeah.
interestingly, so
And now sometimes, well, what about when markets turn? When markets turn, what I would do there is, let's say you have a portfolio, is I would recommend being long. Let's say you have one Bitcoin of net worth, you have $50,000. Is you can be long in your spot account, right? And what I would recommend is, let's say you have $50,000 in your long spot account. Let's say you sell 20%, and now you have your 0.8 Bitcoin long here, and now you take 20% and then you put it into your futures account. Then you use 4x leverage or 5x leverage, and you go short. And the cool thing about this, what this means is, you're long Bitcoin, one Bitcoin here, but you're short one Bitcoin here. So really, you've locked in the price. And then what you can do is, if you're worried about how to capture going into a bear market, what I'd recommend is, yeah, what you can then do is go from 4x leverage to maybe 5x or 6x. So what you're doing is, if you're short, you're only short a little bit, meaning that you're not short like you're long one Bitcoin, you're short 1.2 Bitcoin, right? So you're only short a small amount of Bitcoin, and then as the price goes down, you cover your short, and then you can then go back to being long. And so now this is getting a little complicated on how you do it, but the reason why that works is your long is like a hedge against your short, but then as they say, Bitcoin goes from 50,000 back down to 40,000, you can make some money and then buy back long again. And so, but my point on about how you hedge is that you don't want to take your one Bitcoin, convert to all the dollars, and then when you convert to dollars, then short. And then the problem is, if you're wrong, if you didn't go from 50,000 to 40,000, it goes 50,000 to 60,000, you've just given up your money, right? You've really gotten squeezed hard. So the point there is, the way I kind of like thinking about it is, take your long spot portfolio and keep it as your long, and then your trading portfolio is your hedging and shorting portfolio.
That is so interesting, because for me, futures is something very new. I've never been into the trading space per se myself, and when I started learning about this and all of these features that we have in futures trading is so much more beneficial than the regular spot trading. Of course, both have their own pros and cons, and it depends on the person's comfort level, what they want to do. Interestingly, there's another feature that you also mentioned about, Rahul: leverage. Now when it comes to leverage, people can get really greedy on that. At pi 42 there's almost 20x leverage, and that is the cause of a lot of losses, because as much as you can gain from it, you
Yeah,
can
yeah, yeah. You can make a lot, but you can also lose a lot.
yeah,
Right.
exactly. So this is something that people fail to understand. Now, ideally, what would you suggest should be an idle leverage on any position, and as per the risk,
Yeah.
whatever they want to take?
So I and the ZP team knows this, is the two big assets, Bitcoin and Ethereum, are really strong assets. They're very hard to manipulate. Meaning the prices are pretty. I'd say more. It's a good defined market, Bitcoin and ETH. Um, my my recommendation is, for assets like that, I would use higher leverage in Bitcoin and Ethereum than I would in smaller cap assets, because smaller cap assets can be manipulated. And what I mean by that is, just take a smaller asset. Let's use Matic compared to Bitcoin, right? Someone with a big Matic whale might know that there's a lot of people who are short, and they'll manipulate the price up. Or someone might know that they're long, they'll manipulate the price down. And what those whales do, they'll really manipulate the price to liquidate people, right? With Bitcoin and Ethereum, it's very hard. So I'm saying, so if my recommendation on using, let's say, leverage certain numbers is, I'd use the bigger numbers on Bitcoin and Ethereum than the other smaller tokens, because you want to avoid some other player coming in and scare, kind of having you hit your stop losses. Now, the second thing about leverage is, there's sometimes when I think you can make a lot of money. For example, everyone knew the Bitcoin ETF news was going to come out on January 12th, right? And you probably knew that on a day like that, it's going to be very volatile. So as long as you're in front of the screen, you can watch it. And let's say the news was approved, you maybe want to go extra long, right? And so during a time like that, you say you normally use 3x, you might want to use 10x or 15x, but then realize that as soon as it's up, you got to be able to get out, right? And so what I would say is, if you're using a lot of leverage, my recommendation is, don't do it and then step away from the computer, right? Like, because if you're stepping away, most likely you will get liquidated, because the thing is that it's the price is so volatile. Like, you might make lakhs of rupees, but then 1 hour later you've lost lakhs of rupees, right? And so just be very cognizant. If you're using a lot of leverage, keep your eye on the ball. Like don't take it off.
That's really interesting. And you said that Bitcoin and Ethereum are the strongest assets, undoubtedly. But with futures, with the general public, I'm very amazed to, see this in the past few days, as the request of new pairs have been flooding
Yeah,
in our communities and everything. Now, what people want to trade in is more volatile assets. I feel like creating a
yeah,
little snippet of what you just talked about, because, with Bitcoin and Ethereum, you still have some sort of stability in mind, like,
Yeah.
it's gonna go somewhere. And with smaller assets, like you said, Matic, and more so the ones that are coming, Dogecoin and all of those things,
Yeah.
it's very hard to see because there are major whales who can move prices in like
Yeah.
flick of a second, and people don't understand that. They feel like with a volatile asset, they have a greater chance at, more volatile price movements, making more percentage gains on that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is something that everybody should take care of and try to understand how much a certain asset's price is, it can be manipulated. What is that amount? And if
Yeah.
you consider that, if you master that, I think you're pretty much good to go.
See, I think like a lot of people, there's a famous guy named Arthur Hayes. He's the founder and CEO, actually, of a company called BitMEX. BitMEX was really he almost the inventor of the perpetual, Bitcoin futures contract. And he and I'll use a bad word, but he calls them shit coins, which they are. He said he loves trading shit coins, and I think people do. Meaning that people know that Bitcoin and Ethereum are like what I'd say is if you're a beginner or intermediate, those are probably the ones you want to play with. But if you're a little bit more advanced and you want to get higher returns, without a doubt, Dogecoin, Shiba, meme coins, these are really great ways to trade. And but like I said, it's a different game. I would say it's kind of like when you're going into that game, know that it's a much faster game. It's like it's driving on the autobahn in Germany, which doesn't have a speed limit, versus driving in a parking lot, which has barriers. And so what these meme coins are great. I mean, literally with some leverage and stuff like that, you could put in like a lakh of rupees and like 5x your money within a couple days, right? Because when some of these meme coins really start to moon, they run 20, 30, 40, 50, 100% in a day, right? And let's say if you have 5x leverage and it's up 100%, that's 500%, right? And so I think also traders love volatility. I don't think it's a bug. I think it's a feature, meaning that a lot of people in crypto, I enjoy the volatility. I think it's kind of fun. It's like a fun game to watch and try to predict what happens.
So indeed it's fun, and I remember talking to somebody at one of the events, and I was just casually discussing about these altcoins and everything, and he happens to say that all of these things are so cute, but eventually, as long as you can master the game, everything is good. You
Yeah,
have to see, what's gonna stay for the longer run, and definitely altcoins have great potential to give, say, midterm gains, some of them even long term gains, but the research has to be very, very,
yeah.
foolproof. That is something that I believe. And for the very same reason, guys, we'll be putting out small videos on whatever new pairs we are bringing on board, and you can get a little understanding of whatever we are bringing, and you can of course go ahead and do your own research after that as well. Okay, so Santosh here is.
What's your favorite meme coin? Do you have one? Do you have Dogecoin or some sort of cat coin or bonk or dog with hat?
It's a little funny because now that I'm a Bitcoin maximalist, now all my money is in Bitcoin. The way I got into crypto was through investing in Shiba Inu first. So
Yeah,
I mean, it's not my favorite, but that's the only meme coin I
yeah.
ever invested in.
Yeah, She was definitely. I think she was probably the most widely held meme coin, and obviously Elon loves Dogecoin and stuff like that. But what I love about meme coins, they're kind of fun. They're fun to trade, and also the reality is that they're also great animals. People love their pets. They love their dogs, their cats, and it's just they're what a lot of the SEC and SABE don't realize is that it's almost like a game. People enjoy like meaning that if I have a dog, I might like my dog meme coin more than my neighbor who likes his cat or something. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the Dodge community solely based on the people who are dog lovers, and even Inu community for
yeah,
that, Rocky Inu community for that. And it's lovely to see all of these people coming together. And meme coin certainly has something that I really admire about meme coins is their strong community. no matter how much we say that these coins are, not reliable, this and that, they're very volatile. If you're willing to invest, think through. We say a lot of things about meme coins per se, that they're just for fun. But again, the community that is behind it is super, super strong, and that belief is something that is completely unbeatable.
Yeah.
So, there are also people, which I happen to have a little argument with very often, because when I got into the Shiba Inu thing, by investing into it, I was talking to a lot of people over Telegram, from that
Yeah.
particular community, to learn about it, like what is it, and how does it work.
Yeah.
Now, their assumption was, in a certain year, let's say 2030 or something, Shiba Inu is gonna reach $1 price mark. And I used to be, super defensive. How are you even saying this?
Yeah.
But despite all those things, their community belief is super, super, super strong. And I think that is the beauty of crypto: network
Yeah.
effects. And it comes from the very origin of Bitcoin itself, the network effects that we see everywhere.
Yeah, you're saying you're like you're almost like a Bitcoin master. That's what I'm saying. What I look at happening is Bitcoin really is what ends up happening is, let's say you trade meme coins. A lot of people, if they make their profits, they're gonna put their profits back into Bitcoin, and
Yes.
Bitcoin becomes a store of value. It becomes a place where people want. In many ways, people use Bitcoin as a way to measure their wealth, right? So, and like it might be fun trading, like these meme coins and other coins, but what I think 70-80% of people will end up, once they make gains, they're going to keep their gains in Bitcoin. And it's really interesting to see what happens over the next, let's say, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And so, but like the other good thing about this stuff is there's, I know Pi 42 is not really talking about it, but like NFTs are really interesting, right? There's a lot of new protocols. So whenever a new, let's say protocol or a layer 2 comes out, those are really volatile as well. And let me just tell you another ethos I have, thesis, is that Bitcoin is, like I said, it's like the almost like the store of value, the safest crypto asset. And what ends up happening is in bull markets, smaller assets, small altcoins outperform. So if we're going to a bull market, it's pretty obvious that probably Bitcoin, if it doubles, then ETH might double, more than double just a little bit. But then these altcoins will go up more. But in a bear market, if Bitcoin drops by 20%, these altcoins drop by 50, 60, 70, 80, 90%. And so the reason I'm bringing this up is you have to kind of understand where we are in the whole cycle of the market. And these markets usually go in 4-year cycles, right? Just because of the way the halving's coming up right now, the Bitcoin halving. And every 4 years after the halving happens, usually because there's a supply shock, the price of Bitcoin goes up a lot. And what I'm saying, the reason I'm bringing this up is for all of the community that's watching here is just, be very careful, because it's going to feel awesome as Bitcoin goes up and all your altcoins go up. But remember to capture in some of your gains, because if you don't, during the bear market, all those altcoins you have, all those meme coins you have, they can drop 90% in value, right? And like you're saying, this is your second cycle. I've now been through four of these cycles, right? And you have to be very careful that not to let uh, uh, all your gains disappear. You should lock them in, in going into that fourth year.
Interestingly enough, I think just a couple weeks ago, I came across this very interesting topic, like you were just describing, capital rotation itself, and which essentially means what you were just describing. How the money flows, and how the money, value of these altcoins will fall. So this is something that all of our future traders can do. If they understand the concept of capital rotation, they can really, really nicely balance out their capital. They can spread it throughout, and then when the time comes, they can also move it back to Bitcoin. So that is one concept, and I think hopefully we'll be doing a video to explain that soon as well, so that our users get a certain understanding on that. So, Rahul, you are also an investor and advisor at Pi 42, and I was really hoping to understand this from you, with you being head of the chairman of board at Zeppe as well, and being in India, the market conditions, the kind of challenges, and the kind of challenges even Pi 42 is trying to overcome, with the
Mhm.
regulatory whatever taxes are there for the people. How was it for you to, what was your prima facie with the idea of Pi 42, when maybe Avinash must have told you about this?
Yeah. So as you know, like, Bitcoin first started trading in spot, and spot was like really the big thing for a while. I mentioned earlier that BitMEX came in with futures, and
Yes.
what ended up happening was really, as an investor, like, I was very initially skeptical of futures just because I was always worried about the leverage, right? I was worried that the leverage was a bad thing, but the thing is, I think it's a wrong way of looking at it. Leverage, if used wisely, can be a good thing. Obviously, any tool can be used in a good way or bad way. And so when Avinash first told me, I was very skeptical about it. But I was like, man, it's a really I don't know if we should give, like, almost like a drug. I don't know if it's worth it, because the thing, everyone will blow up. But then the more and more I thought about it, I realized, here's the point: is it, like, it's not purely just the leverage, it's not purely just the futures, it's not purely just the tax. It's all of the above, meaning that, and if you take all of the factors, without a doubt, futures is in many ways a better product in India than spot, right?
True.
And because there's a lot of reasons why. One is, Bitcoin. There's a premium buying Bitcoin in India, the USDT price, right? Then there's all the taxes. Then there's also the leverage. So the simple thing, when Avinash came to me, I realized that, man, the biggest factor is a lot of people think in terms of rupees. See, I think, as an American, think in terms of dollars. And so the other reason why I think it's the really big innovation is Pi 42 is adopting the price in INR, right? And just because I'm American and I think about, let's say my Bitcoin price in $52,000, let's say I actually wrote an article back in 2020 that Bitcoin is going to eventually pass 1 crore. I mean, we're not there yet, but we're almost there, which is
Yes.
roughly $120,000, right? And so what my point there is that, see, I think in dollars, but I think a lot of people think in rupees, and even when they're capturing gains, everyone in India thinks in rupees. And so what I love about what Pi 42 does is it makes the price almost native to the users in thinking in rupee terms, which, these are small benefits, but they make a big difference. And here, I'll give you the example of driving a car, because I drive my car, I think in miles per hour, right? But everyone in India, I think, looks at kilometers per hour. And it's just better to drive in your native language, right? And so, to me, just the fact that the prices are rupee denominated actually makes a big difference, right? Because you think about it differently. So, like, so in summary, I'm saying it's all of the above. I think futures is just a phenomenal product. Avinash, when he came here, it took about 6 months of convincing, but then I realized him and the Pi 42 team were really onto something, and I'm really proud of what they built. They built an amazing product, and that's the goal. The goal is to just Avinash is a big believer in this idea of Kaizen. It's making the product, and I see some feedback. It's making the product better and better and better. And if you go look at Pi 42 from when it started to where it was a month ago to where it is now, every single day the product's getting better, the community is getting better, the team is getting better, and I think we have something really special here. And I'm really excited to see the Avinash and Nishal and the team really start, continue this momentum.
Absolutely, and just to add to it, today itself we released an update, and I think the update should now be available on the App Store, not the App Store, sorry, the Play Store for people to download. So this is something that I really love about our founders here and our advisors and investors here. That what is being taken into consideration is purely customer feedback, what the people need over here. And lately, of course, after the launch, there were people, seasoned traders, they had so many requirements. Okay, we need this in the app, we need that in the app. We were like, okay, sure. And the team got onto it, they started working on it, and today is the release for that upgrade. And I'm sure, I think it's covering 90% of almost everything that was asked by our users, and moving forward more of those things will be implemented. They wanted more pairs. Now we have plans of releasing pairs. We have been releasing 4 to 5 pairs every week. Now we have plans to release more and more pairs in the coming weeks. So I mean, this is the best part, and any for Indians especially, right, Rahul? This is something that I've noticed. Their belief in Indian exchanges is not as much as it was in the offshore exchanges, because of multiple reasons. And of course, if you're serving a native country, there are certain challenges that you face as compared to an international exchange, which is something that, from a user's perspective, people sometimes fail to understand. But at the same time, when I am looking at all of these things from as a part of the team, and also as somebody who's using Pi 42 for little trades, this is really exciting and interesting to see, to serve people's need, and this is what we are here for. So definitely, I mean, this idea and the evolution of this particular idea is
I want to talk about this really quick because it's really important. So one thing that's really important to me with what Avinash and Vishal are doing, and even the Pi 42 team, is um, it's really important that India not just innovates with, let's say, Web3 and blockchain, but even the futures product. And here's the reason why. As a lawyer, you see international exchanges, like on perception, they have all of this, halo effect. But as we saw with like FTX, right? We saw with all these, is it they can fail massively. And the other problem there is, even when they fail, getting your money back as an Indian consumer is really hard, right? Because all of that bankruptcy happens in the Bahamas, in the U.S., in other foreign jurisdictions, and no one's flying out there to go collect your money. And I always want to give people remind everything Pi 42 is done in India. Meaning that what's awesome is Indian regulations, Indian laws, Indian systems, and as an Indian user, I really, I'm not just saying this because I'm an investor and advisor. I would want to use a system which is governed by the laws of my local country, and it'll make a huge difference because you know that they're accountable, right? And I'll give you a real example of that. This is it because I told you I got into Bitcoin back in 2011. I bought my first Bitcoin on Mt. Gox. I don't know if people remember this, but Mt. Gox was the first Bitcoin exchange many years ago, and I have two Bitcoin in Mt. Gox that got lost, right? And that two Bitcoin is now worth more than $100,000, and supposedly now 10 years later, I mean I still haven't gotten it, but I might be getting a fraction of it back. And so what I would say, just for anybody who's watching, that listen, the Pi 42 team, Nishal, Avinash, myself, is that we want to follow the law. We want to provide the best customer experience. We want to really make sure that everything for the Indian consumer and the Indian customers is like 5-star, right? And so, and it's really important because if you're using a foreign exchange, they don't have that responsibility, right? What they're going to do is they're going to do what's best for them and best for that jurisdiction, whether it's in like some tax haven country, or whether it's in in China or in America or somewhere else, right? And what, as an Indian consumer, I think over time a lot of Indian consumers will want to back a Indian backed futures exchange. So I think we're very early in this, but over the next 5, 10, 15 years, the jurisdiction will be really important.
100%. And following the law of the land is something that is very necessary, no matter what market you are in. And with crypto especially, I think, just like you said, I have personally always believed in using the applications or using the platforms that are built in India, because say I'm doing self custody, even in that case, something say happens, I will always have the customer support responsive. I'll have the company, I'll have people who I can, find, and I can just talk to them. There's so much of credibility with something that is built in your own country and for the people of your countrymen. With INR Futures, this is something that comes with the name and the tagline of Pi 42 itself. Crypto INR Futures, Bharat's first crypto INR perpetual futures trading platform. So, I mean, INR itself is a big time credibility that this is for you guys to use, and this is built for you, customized to your needs. And I feel personally so proud to be part of this team, and this constant innovation that's happening in here. And we sit, we
Yeah,
break.
the Pi 42 team is a great team. For people, the customers, like really, the people behind the curtain. It's really a top notch, blue chip, elite team, and I'm very impressed. And so hats off to the whole Pi 42 team for what they're building.
Indeed, indeed. And every day it's very interesting to see what a customer needs and to provide them with that. And we're constantly working on that. Guys, if you have any more suggestions for us, first of all, go download the app, see if all of your features, whatever you need, are there or not. And let us know what else do you want on the platform. We'll be very happy to start, on more innovative, more advanced stuff for the application, whatever you might be in need of. Now, Rahul, interestingly, since we were talking about futures, and a lot of people right now in the bull market are coming into this space, right? Because we see in bear run people who kind of came in for the money, they just flock out
Yeah.
thinking that, oh, it's over, crypto's dead. Chetan Bhagat said that 2020, crypto is dead. So a lot of people right now are going to enter the market thinking that the price gonna go up, and they're going to be a lot of wrong entry points. Now, how do you suggest future is going to serve as a good entry point for people, who haven't maybe
Mhm.
trading in the traditional markets, but are
Yeah.
now getting into the, cryptocurrency
Yeah.
market?
So the for a lot of beginners, I'd say there's beginners, there's intermediate people, then there's like probably professionals. Um, then there's even some people who maybe trade in the past and then they're coming back. On the beginner side, I'm gonna keep it very simple. I think Bitcoin and Ethereum is really the only thing you should be investing or trading in because it's too hard to keep track of all the different assets. If once you get beyond the beginner stage, on the intermediate level, really like there's a lot of cool stuff on, like you're talking about different type of altcoins. And my suggestion here is, and you mentioned it, like things on Telegram and Discord and Twitter and these new Web3 type social apps. You can get a lot of alpha. I mean, sometimes you'll know when a new coin is going to move just because people are talking about it. And people might have heard about, remember the whole GameStop and meme stock portfolios, right? So Wall Street bets. So what happens is you can often get some really interesting alpha by outperformance from just paying attention to what's happening on the internet. And so that's on the intermediate side. And the people who are really advanced, like, and this is what Pi 42 is building, there's a lot of really cool tools, right? It's not just the coin, not just the community, not just the buzz, but you have to study the charts, right? And like here, you have to understand technical analysis, looking at resistance points, at doing stop losses, even building in, almost sometimes bots. And I bet you Pi 42 over the longer run will eventually have really good AI systems and trading systems and things like that. Copy trading. So once again, like there's like beginner, there's intermediate, there's advanced. What my suggestion there would be is, listen, if you're a beginner, don't just assume that you can go in and start driving like you can start flying a fighter jet because you'll make a mistake. So I would just say you kind of have to understand your own skill level and adjust your tactics to where you are in your skill, right?
That is so true. We have a comment here from Santosh. Santosh is saying app development required for TPSL edit and move time to time required. Santosh, the app upgrade has went live today, so you can check it out on your Play Store, and it's already live on the web. So in case your Play Store is not showing the update as of now, you can start trading on the web because it has all the features already. Yeah. So your query is already resolved, and if you have any other questions, please let us know. We'll be very happy to answer. Okay. So Rahul, indeed, Bitcoin and Ethereum are one of the greatest start points. And what is one thing that you love so much? If we have to talk about these two assets, Bitcoin and Ethereum, what are like two things about these particular assets that you love?
Yeah. So, I'm sure this analogy we use a lot of time. Bitcoin is digital gold. What it really is, it's a way of storing wealth. It's a wealth preservation tool. To me, Ethereum is like digital oil. What it really is. Everyone talks about that. It's something you can use to rebuild with, right? And oil, if you go look at oil, it's a consumable resource. Like it's used, and so I love both. I'm a big believer that you should have roughly half and half. The other thing, which I see with the disclaimer down there, I love NFTs. I think NFTs are really interesting, and I'll tell you what, like I would love Pi 42 could eventually get into NFT futures, right? And because NFTs have the same issue, like when you trade NFTs. In the current Indian law, there's a lot of taxes. So let's say I'm able to trade some sort of NFT project and I make gains here, I can't offset the losses with my losses with this other NFT
Yeah.
project, right? And so NFTs are really interesting. They really to me kind of help build. They're kind of like trading cards, or they're kind of like collectibles or art. And I think over time, a lot of people, if you go look at really big gains, some people have made tremendous gains trading NFTs, right? And so I think over time, but that the same thing, that beginner, intermediate, advanced, that's really probably for the advanced users. right? So I think over time there are going to be people who do a lot of stuff with NFTs, things like that. But really, like I said, like I love both of them. The other token, which I buy 3 tokens every day: Bitcoin, Ether, and the last one's BAT. The BAT token is the token for the Brave browser. It's another one of our portfolio companies. I'm a big fan of Brave. I think Brave is one of probably the best uses of blockchain. You talk about Web3 and things like that. And the other thing about the BAT token is really about privacy and advertising. So what I'm really excited about all of this, I'm excited about not just digital gold, not just digital oil, but then what are people building with this stuff and using better, let's say, browsers and AI to make better decisions. So like I said, like, and the best thing about all this stuff is India has the talent, has really the technical talent to really build the next generation technology. If you go look at the biggest companies in the world, whether it's Apple and Google and Microsoft and Facebook, their centers in India is really where a lot of stuff is happening. And I think over the next 10, 15, 20 years, Bitcoin and Ethereum, I really look at them as being protocols. A lot of these open source protocols, the innovation is coming from India, right? And you're going to see tremendous amounts of innovation. And if I talk about the 2 biggest, let's say, piece of that, it's the intersection of blockchain and AI. And blockchain and AI is going to be bigger than NVIDIA. It's going to be bigger than Apple. It's going to be bigger than all of that.
That is true. I think the coming couple decades are going to be blockchain and AI. This is something even I personally believe in. And as far as India being the center of these technological advancement goes, I think I know so many people, from the Bitcoin maximalist or say enthusiast part who are right now settled, let's say in Dubai, in the States.
Yeah.
Those people are now. I have a couple of friends, so they are now planning to move back to India, start something like a firm, some sort of an advisory to talk to people about this, to spread more education. There's a guy I know who's trying to create a mining thing. I don't know what exactly is that because I don't really mostly get that tech side of the stuff. But I keep hearing him talk, and it's very interesting to see how those people, who moved out for a livelihood back to some other country, now they are planning on to come back to their homeland and build something over here. That's something that I believe is very
Exactly, the old word used to be brain drain, and like meaning people are leaving, but now it's like brain gain, meaning and it's not just Indians. You're seeing a lot of people who are not just of Indian origin moving to India. You see people who are different like backgrounds and ethnicities who realize India is the next growth level, which is amazing. Especially the large metros, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Mumbai, Delhi. Like you saw how there's Bangalore and these really tech capitals in India are going to become, I think, some of the largest centers of innovation, right? And so it's going to be really exciting.
Indeed, and we are 100% bullish on India and the innovation that India has to bring to the world. Thank you so much, Rahul. It was such a great session. Now that we are reaching the end of our session, and I just love the kind of insights I got from you about 542, about the idea, about the innovation, and everything today, even NFTs. I'm a huge fan of these kind of technologies, by the way, that is kind of helping the artists out there. So, it was super insightful. I hope everybody who joined in today also enjoyed our session. Guys, let us know how and when was this one situation where you overcome FOMO. Let us know in the comment section. We'll be very happy to feature your comment on our platform. So with this, I think we'll be concluding our today's session. Thank you so much for joining in, Rahul, and giving us so many insightful things. And I
Ditto.
think I think
I was thanks for having me. Really proud to be part of the crypto community in India, and I'm so excited for the future. A lot of people, like, even though we're on the way up, we're far away from any type of near potential. My suggestion is, I think over the next 5 years we easily go from 2 trillion market cap to 10 trillion market cap, meaning that we have potential to another like significant amounts of growth, and there's very few industries that are growing this fast. So a lot of gratitude. Namaste. Thanks everyone who's like, all the community watching this. Really excited to be helping out, and don't feel shy about reaching out to me on Twitter or asking me questions. So
That's really so sweet, and I mean that is what makes the best investors and best people in the industry who are sitting on the top, yet so humble to be available to everyone. With your advice and guidance, 542 is definitely gonna become better each day for our people, for our traders, and for everyone who's trying to get into this space. And we hope we'll be able to serve everybody as per their needs and whatever they want to do on cryptocurrency trading. So I mean, it was a lovely session, and I mean, I don't have enough words to describe how energized I'm feeling right now about this whole discussion. Okay,
Yeah.
so once again, Rahul, thank you so much. And if you ever have time again, we'd love to do another
Oh,
session. It will be so much more
I'd
interesting
love
to.
it. Let's do a rain check after when Bitcoin crosses 1 crore rupees. I'd love to come back. Hopefully sooner than later.
100% deal
Yeah,
done. And I'm
I love
I'm
it.
I'm just gonna see, and I'm gonna book your calendar then
Yeah,
and there, the day it
I love
happens.
it. I love it. I love it. Awesome, guys. Thanks, everyone. Okay, have a good day.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye, guys.